Hello, sweet souls. This is DTO in the flow. This is the 5Q interview show. And I welcome everyone right now. Let's take a deep breath in and an open mouth exhale. Today, I get to interview Naseem Murakami. And wow, she's just a soul sister. And I can't wait to share more about what she's up to in the world. And her mission is helping people to raise their vibration. Naseem is very passionate about educating and inspiring people to return to their most optimal state through mindful practices, mindful choices, and getting in touch with nature's way, plant-based living, sound healing, meditation, practicing compassion, and self-love. Without further ado, let's bring on Naseem. How are you? Great to see you.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited to be here and talk to your audience. Thank you.
Equally, yeah. Thank you for being a yes. And if anyone has any questions during this conversation, feel free to comment. This is one cool thing about live streaming. You can comment, ask a question, share. You can, of course, let us know where you're located. I'm in San Diego, and I know you're up in LA, right?
Yes, I'm
So
in Topanga.
Topanga, awesome. So there's a variety of locations, and with this global connectivity, it's always fun. Sometimes when
Mhm.
I'm live streaming, it's amazing how many different countries, different places. And if anything, if you don't want to if you don't feel like you want to ask any questions, just want to listen to everything, then why don't you just let us know you're here and comment with your favorite emoji? That's always fun. So it's all about interactivity. And we are live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And this is being broadcast on your Facebook as well as mine. And we're also broadcasting, I really rarely do these on plant powered living. And I know that you and I have this common path of being plant powered, plant based. And
Mhm.
so we can discuss that into our 5Q interview. So without further
Yay.
ado, are you ready for the 5Q interview?
Yes, let's do it.
Awesome. Beautiful. All right, here we go. Question number one. What is your
Mhm.
journey with wellness?
Yes, wow, this is like my favorite, like just discovering about this whole new world from where I used to be. I was just like most people, kind of like living in default, struggling, just like trying to figure out, living your life and facing a lot of obstacles. And then when I moved to LA, I kind of had this whole awakening. And then it's just there's so much more to then status quo, who you are,
Yeah.
what you are as working on your way up the corporate ladder and whatnot. But there's so much more. And I start to really enjoy life, surrounding in the nature and just to get to know you, kind of like you have this awakening and have this question, what is this life? Why am I here? And that's where I started with my journey of discovering energy healing, the yoga, meditation. And although I uh, come from Japan, the Buddhist country, and I went to the high school was like a Buddhist school, so I had early introduction to meditation at age 15 for like 3 years, taught by a monk. But I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. So it happens at the due time, but the seed was planted back then. So kind of like make it circle way back to me about getting aligned and really like living in the moment. Put yourself in a present moment so you don't fall victim into stress, anxiety, and worry, especially what's happening around the world today. So easy to get back into the fear and all that stuff. Yeah, so the wellness is just a way of life to me.
I love that. And also, as I see here you know, we've looked at these shifts that happen on our global scale right now, right? Where there's not only
Mhm.
us going inward because we're almost like forced to quarantine, there's this
Yeah.
deepening or this inward aha moment. So when you moved to LA,
Mhm.
I'm curious, like, do you feel like it was a process of different experiences that led you up to this awakening moment, and then you really got connected
Mhm.
to your body, mind, spirit, and then you really felt that connection to wellness, which of course, as we'll speak later on about how now you're leading and guiding people into that. So the initial aha moment was there an event you were at? Was there a moment in time?
It happened gradually. There's a tiny like aha moment from like the minute I landed in LA. Kind of had this,
Cool.
little spiritual awakening, but I didn't see the whole puzzle, like a whole picture yet. So I can only go through a little process at a time that I can handle. And eventually, when I just, step into that realm, because it was scary from coming from, I used to be a bartender in New York City, coming from that background, and also my background is also in a mainstream music industry. So just like all that, glitz and glamour, and coming from that world into, just like oneness, right? Always love oneness, and it just,
Beautiful.
no competition. And it's just we're sharing and helping each other kind of thing. Um, yeah, it was just once I start to embark on that journey, and then one thing led to the other, and then led to the bigger picture. And for me, the big turning point was discovering Reiki. And Reiki actually healed me so much so that I became very passionate, and I became a Reiki master, educated myself. That's kind of like also introduction to the yoga, and practicing various different healing modality, holistic alternative medicine, and whole wellness. So I became very passionate about connecting back into nature, and so I start to cleanse myself, like detox and water fasting. And I learned that if this temple is working right, if my brain is functioning right, I can finally tune in and connect, because the information is constantly coming. But because our container is not ready, or so distorted from the external programming, what the media tells you, what the your family tells you, your institution, education system is, you're not going to hear it. You're going to get blocked because you're so caught up in that bubble. So
Yeah.
once you clear this temple, release all this toxins or whatever, the lifestyle I grew up in, eating like unhealthy food, all kinds of fast food, frozen food, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So it was difficult to like, even detox, because all this emotional stuff will come up. All the food that I used to eat was like kind of sedating my emotional wounds and pain. But when you do the detox, all these things will come up. But I'm so happy that I did it, because you're able to get rid of it, and now you have this brand new, temple that you can start to create the life you want, based on everything is like, let's say, I'm trying to say it in an easy way people can understand. When you're operating from the body that's distorted or out of balance, no matter what you do, it's difficult to calibrate in that direction. For example, if you have a clear glass of water, and it's easy to program the water, like, or, because it's clear, but if you have the water full of like a muddy water or whatever, no matter what clear water you pour in, it still look like muddy water.
Yeah, it's like a toxic
So
body. Unless you detoxify, you're going to remain
yeah,
toxic. And you and I have a common
exactly.
path around that. And I think it's a great opportunity to show a photo of my before and after photo when my body was
Oh,
filled with
no way.
toxins. I know, it's pretty amazing, right? And so I was eating the
That's
standard American
amazing.
diet, fat, sick, and tired, and weighed 60 pounds more than I do now. And when I started to detoxify, and I've
Mm,
done multiple juice cleanse as well as just eating plant powered, and I know that you have a huge advocate
Yeah.
of plant based living. And as you can see here, this is part of the branding of like the clarity. And one thing I could give the analogy: you see the blue skies. That's a lot clearer. You can see birds in the sky if it's clear, but if you're in a factory
Exactly.
and there's pollution everywhere, then it's like you're not connected to
Mm-hmm.
nature, Mother Gaia, and back to basics. And I think that's a part of your bio is like nature's way is our way because we're
Yeah.
not in nature, we are nature. It's really beautiful.
We are nature. We are nature, but we are so used to synthetic and man-made, like kind of like step down version,
True.
So
Yeah.
yeah, we're kind of like dealing with like almost like a secondhand material instead of having the real deal. The nature is the real deal. You don't have to alter it, you know.
Right.
Um
I agree.
yeah. So yeah,
My
so
favorite
just kind of
statement
like
is like it's organic, don't panic.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. We are organic being. So we have
Yes.
to honor that and respect that and do our best to get back into that space. So yeah, and yeah.
That's beautiful. And I was reading your bio on your website where it spoke specifically about how at a young age you were clear that you were intuitive, you had this spiritual connection, clairvoyance,
Mhm.
and then you had two near death experiences, multiple contacts with divine source. So it sounds like you've been on this
Yeah.
extraordinary journey that then led you up to where you're at. So it's really powerful. And I'm grateful that you're authentically sharing about this.
Thank you. Yeah, I was like, did I really sign up for this? It's almost like I had such a difficult upbringing, from the childhood to growing up in Japan, multiracial, family, and kind of like difficult to get through. And I was very depressed pretty much all my life, from as long as I remember, like I was suicidal from 9 years old. And I'm surprised I'm even still alive today. If I didn't have this awakening or my life to transition from the way it was going, I wouldn't made it. I would totally not made it. There was a
Wow.
lot of abuse in my previous marriage and also just growing up, a lot exposed to a lot of negativity in my environment. So it's difficult in that position. It's so easy to kind of like, oh, I'm label yourself like I'm broken, I'm no good. But there's part of me that really saved me was music. There
Mm,
was something that music was always has been a huge part of uh, my passion, my dream, and it was like a healing, to me. So whenever I listened to music, I was able to step out of that, depressed state and, difficult time in my life. And when I was younger, before I exposed to those, negative elements, I was very kind of like kind of psychic in a sense. And then kind of like lost it when I got really sucked into a lot of negativity. I got out of touch with that part of me. And that kind of came back when I, moved to LA and, started my spiritual and, holistic wellness journey back again. It came back
mm,
to me.
wow.
So it was already there, and I believe everybody has it. Everybody has some kind of gifts. Not everybody is like having a same gifts because that's what makes
Yeah.
us unique and exciting that we can share and learn from each other. So mine was a lot of like the auditory, like the sounds, the visual I
Beautiful.
can see sometimes. The snapshots of something is about to happen in the future. It's like, and then you realize, wow, there's more to that, more to it than this life. And that's what I experienced when I had this two near death experience. Um, it was really a profound experience to me. It was something that shows up in my, visual and also hear the voice and all that. And I'm not going to get into the whole story, but
Yeah.
it just, that's enough for me to convince me like, wow, like I realize this world is like an illusion. This is like a school we're in,
Yeah.
so we can really create the story we want instead of story you were born into. You're not stuck there. You're never stuck
Mm,
there. You just have to claim it. You just have to take your power back and look what happened. And actually, that is for your soul growth. And you can always transmute that, any suffering, pain, anything that is here to teach you, to strengthen you. And once you get that lesson, is done. And then you just
mhm,
have this love and a gratitude for that lesson, and then you're
mm.
ready to move on to the next phase of your life, and it's just a beautiful thing. If I didn't have this personal crisis, I would never be in this place right now. So I'm grateful for although it was difficult at the time, but I'm so grateful that I had those experiences.
Yeah, and you, in a sense, as you mentioned, it's almost like you're the student in the classroom of life, and you got to learn all these lessons. And so, question two is,
Hmm.
what inspired you to teach?
Yes. So I know there's so many people are suffering from depression. Suicidal rate is all time high now, especially the younger youth generation. And it became my mission, personal mission, to really eliminate the human suffering. Um, from my own transformational journey, if I can do it, I feel like everybody can do it. And I just have to, you know, share what I went through personally. And, nobody's ever alone in this process. So I just wanted to be support and, to be the guide and friend to share people. There's always hope, and
Yeah.
there is a process you have to go through. And once you have a desire to change, these things will come to you. And I like to just kind of help, so we can speed up the process instead of me personally go through 10 years, 20 years to go through that process. I
Yeah.
like to, you can done in a quantum speed.
I love
So
that.
that's where I became passionate. Yeah, that's what I became very passionate about. So I start hosting like weekly classes, the events, and active about doing different healing events and
I
yeah,
love
classes,
that.
workshops.
And so, about your classes,
Thank
so what
you.
makes your classes and your offerings unique? Are you combining different learning
Mhm.
modalities, different techniques that you've learned? And a lot of it, I'm sure, is like intuitive. And another way to
Mhm.
frame this question would be like, people that have attended your workshops and events, what are the
Mhm.
responses? What kind of testimonials and praise do they share?
Mm. I love this part when people share with me when their life is transformed and they really had a breakthrough. And I've witnessed so many like right on the spot, and it really like gets me like teared up. It gets me so emotional, and I'm so happy that I served my purpose, for that time. For me, it's like what makes my events or class unique is I just show up like really authentic. Um, Although I may have like a certain structure, but I always try to be open to what uh, the spirit guides me, what based on whoever show up, and I try to tap into their energetic and see what they really need at that moment. So if I, for example, if I do my sound bath
Hmm.
session, um, I try not to follow the exact like the structure I have, and trying to just be open and see what the energy of the room, according to the room, and I try to respond to that.
I love that.
Yeah, and also I like to be very personal, so I might go to individual, like if I'm led to, put my hands on it because I'm also a Reiki master too. So I do energy healings with it, with the sound healing sometimes. Um,
So,
I
for
like
people that
that,
don't know,
although
what
if it's in a classroom setup, but
so what is
mhm.
the instrument you're holding right now? Because a lot of people may not understand sound healing, and might be a brand new concept to
Uh-huh.
them. So what are
Right.
you holding
Yeah,
right
so
now, and what is that?
that is the singing bowl. It's a Tibetan singing bowl. And so those sounds has different frequency that vibrates and act as a medicine. Not only shift the brain waves, but also alter the cellular level. So yeah, so I have various different of instruments that can be instruments from ancient times like didgeridoo, hand drums. So a lot of Native Americans used for their ceremonies and all that, and some flute. Different sounds can trigger different things from people. Some people say some sounds triggered me my childhood memories, and I was able to go back in there with the childhood trauma, and I totally forgot about it, and then it got lifted up. So not only just these instruments are helping you to relax, but it also works on a subconscious level.
I love that. Yeah, and that's a great segue into question
Bring it
number
more light so
four,
that you
which
can
is, how do you integrate
experience
music? And
more
while I ask that,
things,
here's a wonderful
more positive
video of you on Instagram,
vibrations,
sharing
the
about the
more
power and the
your
healing
heart
Thank
is
you.
open.
benefits of
Not
music.
only
And
you are
wow.
absorbing this divine light, but you get to
So, how's the
share what's
music play a
left.
role in your life
So
and your
never
events and
shut down
everything
your
that you
heart,
do?
never close.
And you're a musician and you're an
Music
artist,
is
so
like, yes, I've been a musician for all my life. And wow, so for me, music is huge because I believe everything is created from sound. You know, if you go back to like the scripture, like the word was the God, so the words means vibration. It's a sound, something it's spoken out. And so every creation is basically the has its own energetic vibration. Even the solid rock or our hands look so solid, but if you look in a microscope, the molecule is vibrating. They're not completely attached, but they're separate, but then it's vibrating. So, and then it just goes smaller and smaller and smaller, and nobody has discovered how small it can go. So it's like a particle. It's particle of, like, we are all stars basically. And so different sounds has a different spectrum. So as our world, from dark to light. And this is like a beautiful, unique place to be in. And sound, for me, it's like it holds a lot of key from discovering the mystery of the universe to healing ourselves and getting aligned and balanced. I talk about a lot, share a lot about chakra system, and a lot of yogi are familiar with the chakra system. If our chakra is out of balance, that's where we start to manifest disease, or we start attracting certain things that we don't want, because we're sending out the different type of signal versus you're in tune and sending out the signal that's more like healthy and in tune with the nature and frequency of love. But when we are acting out of this fear or anger or sadness that's not empowering to us, it's going to start to emit that frequency. It's kind of like destructive to our own and destructive to our world. It goes both ways. Whatever happens internal goes out. So this is how we can start to heal ourselves, by introducing in ourselves into that sound in the right tune, and our body can recalibrate into that frequency. Have
I
you
love
heard of
that.
tuning fork? Yeah. So the
Yeah,
tuning fork, I wish I can show you, but
yeah, they're right here on the
yeah.
screen.
So, oh, there you go. Oh my God, you're so awesome. You're like so prepared. Right on. Yeah. So these tuning forks it's called chakra tuning forks, and so each chakra has its own frequency, right? And so when you introduce this perfect pitch, and where distortion is happening, and when you bring those perfect tones, it starts to recalibrate back into the right frequency. So it's amazing how when we expose ourselves into this beautiful sounds or sound that elevate us, uplift us, versus listening to something kind of like feel uncomfortable, like the distorted, you know.
Well, I love here
Yeah.
on your YouTube page, it says peace, calm, relax, soundscapes for your mind. Ah, and it looks like you have a
Yes.
lot of beautiful sounds of nature and binaural beats
Thank
and
you.
432 Zen Forest soundscapes. I can't wait to hear these. I know you shared that with me today,
Yes, thank you.
and
Yes,
yeah,
this
and
is
which,
it,
gosh, they're like an
yeah, it's
hour
still
long.
brand new.
So
Yeah, it's perfect for, yoga teacher to use it for their class or just meditation, or even you're working. It's nothing that's gonna distract from your work, but helps you to really relax and calm. Yeah, this is brand new. It's just like literally, I started this channel, and I intend to post more, sound healing, and different meditation music, guided meditation music, and all that. So really
that's
excited to
beautiful.
share with the world. Thank
Absolutely. Well,
you.
this is leads us right into question 5, which is what are you offering now? So you're doing the online presence of building out your YouTube channel, and I want
Hmm.
to put up a flyer that you shared with me. I know this is an upcoming event for everyone. So would you like to
Yes.
invite everyone that's watching to this event?
Yes, this is my other passion project. I love really like connecting with people, and I love hosting retreats. And right now, because we're in at quarantine, and but I still love that fact that I think it's really important for us to come together and go through this, wellness experience together. It's good to do it by yourself, but it's like when you have an accountability partner, or if you do it in a group set, it just makes it even better. It's like you're tapping into a group consciousness, and it's like creates a vortex. So I always love, passionate about doing something with the group. So this is basically a curated wellness experience. So you get to learn from eating healthy, how the energy body system works. We have a few yoga instructor teaching different modality of yoga, from Kundalini to Ashtanga, and also I will be teaching life coaching, like holistic life coaching and energy healing, sound healing. So it's fully packed of um, making your life more exciting and happy, when you're in tune and alignment. So that's my goal, to share that with people.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, and I want to make sure everyone gets to know that they can go to Infinite Love Heals, and if you click on retreat, as I'm doing right now, you get access to see about this upcoming event. Heal, transform, upgrade. Sounds so delicious.
Yes.
That's exactly what we
Thank
need,
you.
right?
Thank you.
And the cool thing I
Yes.
love about online experiences is that wherever you are is where you're at. So after this, as you said, if you're doing some Kundalini, if you're learning about health and wellness, you get to go to your
Hmm.
kitchen and make a healthy treat or snack. If you want to just, after the Kundalini classes, lie down and just be with yourself. And then you get this interconnectedness with other
Yeah.
people. As you and I are in this moment live streaming, we get to still feel like, even though we're not physically in the same location, we get to have the energetic
Yeah.
exchange, and we get to understand like what offerings you have and how it's making an impact. And so beyond this upcoming offering, are you going to be doing live events at some point soon again? Do you have any plans for that right away, or are you kind of focused more on getting into the virtual Zoom world
Hmm.
and then kind of run your business as like a hybrid? Because I know a lot of rockin' business owners like yourself and myself as well. We're all entrepreneurs, spiritualpreneurs, right? Sorting out like
Yes.
how do we bring this healing, this love, this wellness to others, and we get to reach people on a global scale. So I'd love
Hmm.
to hear. Are you
Yes,
doing
I
more like
do
monthly
both.
events or all of it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I do both online and also live stream. I'm also an artist, so I do conscious live music, and I also do a Reiki circle like weekly. That's also live stream, and then sound bath too. So if you can plug into my website, you get to know when and where I'll be hosting those events.
Well, let me pull something up I just found, which is it looks like you're doing an event, a new moon cacao ceremony.
Well,
You're doing those
that was
virtually?
just we just finished it, but we're
Oh,
doing it
okay,
like
great.
monthly. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah,
let me share so people can see your Instagram, and so that's a great location. I'm imagining for people to find you and follow what you're up
yes.
to. Okay, awesome. So here
Hmm.
you can find, and there's you. I assume you post any upcoming events, and here's some amazing, gorgeous photos of you being you in the world. And you and I have a common soul sister. We have Andrea. She's an amazing
Yes,
friend. We collaborated, as you probably know, from
yes,
our. I have an album that's the 7 songs for 7 chakras, and
yes.
so it was great. Oh, and James is
Yeah,
writing.
I started a little company, healing. It's called Healing Sound Alchemy with Andrea. So we do sound healing, sound bath together. She's in France right now, but we used to do a lot of like weekly events here in LA, and we're also planning to release some music, both meditation and also like a pop music. Yeah, conscious
Totally.
world
So
music.
Andre and I just spoke a couple days ago, so we're all like in the
Oh,
same
you
world.
did?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, and then if you see here, when the 7 songs for 7 chakra album came out, there's Andrea on the far
There you
right.
go.
She was the root chakra,
Yeah.
and you can see all the other divine singers that were there. Well, it was such a
Awesome.
pleasure to have you on the 5Q interview show.
Oh,
And yeah,
this is
thank
so
you for sharing. And
awesome.
absolutely. Do you have any closing words for anyone that might be watching live right now or on the archive? And I just want
Mm.
to acknowledge that James gave you a big shout out and said you're amazing.
Ah, thank you, thank you. Yes. So wherever you are, everything is perfect. Enjoy your journey. Thank
Aho.
you so much, Dave. Love you so much.
So
Aho.
much love, sister. Yeah, keep on shining your bright light in the world, and we'll be in touch, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Yes.
Blessings.
Ciao.
Ciao.